Hi everybody, it's Geordie from Geordie's Cards. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm back with episode 7 of my Shop Your Crafty Stash series. So today my random number generator selected this Octopi My Heart stamp set from Lawn Fawn. I decided I would use those little seahorse and around seahorses there as well. And then the die it chose was the reverse stitched scalloped window frame dies. I think that's correct. Reverse stitched scalloped circle dies. I think that's what they're called. I will put the name in the description below. So I have a piece of white 110-pound Lawn Fawn cardstock here, and I'm just figuring out where my circles are going to go. So I want to have 3 on there. Obviously, that these are the 2 smaller circles from the die set, and I want to have that kind of middle-sized one to the right hand side in the center, and then I'm going to have 2, one at the top and one at the bottom, so kind of on either side of that. So I'm just making sure I've got enough room to fit them all in, and then I'm going to tape them down, and I will go ahead and run this through my die cutting machine once I'm happy with the placement of everything. And I will do that off screen, and you'll see it here in a second, all completed. So I also have this piece of Bristol smooth cardstock, which measures 5.5 by 4.25 inches. And I'm pulling out one of my favorite stencils here. It's the Heffy Doodle Wave to me stencil, and my new favorite Distress Oxide ink, which is Salvaged Patina. And I'm just going in ever so lightly and quite roughly as well with that, just in the kind of spots where it's going to be seen through those circles that I've cut from my front panel. So I'm just going, fairly quickly over that. I'm going to bring in that panel, just make sure I've got it in the right spot. Then I'm going to bring in my stencil, hold it down with my magnets, and use my ink, the same ink, Salvaged Patina, to go over it in those same spots where you're going to be able to see it through the kind of stitched circles. So just going fairly roughly. I want it to look not necessarily all blended and perfect because it's water, and I want it to look a little bit rough and ready. I did decide that I just needed a little bit more contrast, so I'm bringing that stencil back, and it's quite easy to line it up again. And I'm just going back over some of those spots again with my ink blending tool, and I'm happy with that one this time. So just pulling that card front on again, making sure everything's going to line up nicely. Then I'm going to splatter some water all over my ink blended panel. So just using a bit of a paintbrush here and splattering it over, tapping it over all around where those windows are going to be. I'm going to leave it for a few seconds, and I'm going to pull in my paper towel here and just dab up the excess water. And because this is a fairly pale ink, it doesn't show up hugely, but I did quite like it. I just decided that I wanted to add some white on there as well. So I've just got some white acrylic paint. This is just a cheap tube of acrylic paint that I got at my local stationery shop. And I'm going to water it down with a little bit of water and then splatter it all over again. I decided that these droplets were a little bit fine, so I added a bit more water, and it will create kind of bigger droplets. So depending on how kind of viscous your composition is, will depend on how big your droplets can be. So I decided I wanted some bigger ones there. I've put that panel off to the side to dry, and now I've pulled in my little images and I've coloured and cut them out. I've gone quite out of my comfort zone with the colours today. Chosen kind of yellows and reds for my critters, and just the seaweed is a solid stamp, which I've stamped out in some Concord and 9th ink. I've used a Sprout, Parsley and Evergreen. And these aren't colours I would normally choose, but I've kind of been looking at colour theory lately, and I've been doing a lot of colouring in adult colouring books recently, and enjoying using kind of like my colour wheel to select colours, and I decided that the yellow would really pop against the blue, and just decided that it was kind of something a bit different, and I would try it out and see if I liked it, and I do rather like it. I think it looks kind of sweet, and my octopus and my little seahorse definitely pop against that blue background. So I thought it turned out quite nicely. So I'm just going ahead, and what I've done is just used a little bit of purple tape there. This is removable tape, just to hold my front panel down onto my back panel while I glue everything down onto that back panel, just to make sure I get everything in the right spots. So I'm just using liquid glue. I'm going to adhere everything flat today. Nothing is going to have much dimension. I've kind of been enjoying a flat card recently. I haven't used a huge amount of foam tape on stuff recently. Yeah, it's kind of nice just to do something a little bit flat from time to time and not worry too much about dimension. And so just gluing everything down in place. And once I'm happy with where everything is, I'm going to do some extra stamping. Now in the sets, both sets have some little bubbles in there. So I'm using my Versafine Onyx black ink, and I'm just keeping that front panel in place. I'm going to just carefully stamp out these little bubbles around in my little images here. And I decided that that trio was a little too large, so I'm going to remove these trios, and I'm going to use this a single bubble as well, which comes in the Octopi My Heart stamp set. So I'm going to use that. Now, unfortunately, my camera cut off there and it missed out all the rest of the stamping, but you can see it there in the finished image. Now for my sentiment, so I'm going to use that sentiment that says, "You occupy my heart." It's Valentine's Day. I thought it was quite fitting and appropriate, and I'm going to use the heart there as well. So I've gone ahead and stamped that out again with my Versafine Onyx black ink. I did colour the little heart. I used the same colours that I'd used for that little red seahorse down there. And now I'm going to go ahead and glue my panel down onto my back panel. And I'm just kind of going all the way around with my glue, and then carefully going to line it all up again and attach it all down. So it's a nice flat card, but I think it packs a bit of a punch. It's quite cute. Those little windows are really, really sweet. And that is pretty much my card complete. All that's left is to attach it to a card base. I've chosen some Mermaid cardstock from Lawn Fawn for that. And again, just going to use liquid glue to attach it all down. And that is it. My 7th card of my Shop Your Crafty Stash series is done. I hope you enjoyed this one. I would love to hear what you thought about it. Please do leave a comment down below. Remember to tag your own projects using that hashtag #ShopYourCraftyStash and tag me in it on Instagram if you so fancy. And please do give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see you come back again. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care.